So I've started on the slide, and I've pretty much got the left side done now. It had light pitting, so I went in and I filed it and got all the pitting out. There's a couple little spot right there. We added that weld in the corner, so I got that leveled pretty much. It's got a couple, minor little edges to detail, but you can see that all the pitting is gone. But more important than that is that lettering has just survived very nicely, so I'm not going any further. The pitting's gone. There were a few little gouges and marks in there, but I stoned pretty much all that out. I'm really trying hard to save this nomenclature, so if we have to live with maybe a pit, maybe a small mark, it's a fair trade-off. I mean, I don't like leaving any pitting behind, but we've got this lettering looking so nice right now that I just don't want to mess with it any further. I've still got to put graining into this slide too, so that's going to help hide any little tiny dots or marks, but it's also going to affect the lettering, so I got to be easy when I do the graining. I went in and I filed the serrations. I just filed them lightly. You can see there's still a little tiny bit of evidence of an old, the old metal. You can see where the file didn't quite touch it there, but that's straight enough. I don't want to push my luck. Those are hard to do in the first place. I just wanted to get the pitting out of them, and they had a few minor little dings on a couple edges, so I'm happy with that now. And then the back end, I worked on that a little bit. I actually raised that line a little. I said I wasn't going to, but I was filing anyway, so I raised that line a little bit, so it's going to be straighter than it used to be. It may not be perfect, but it's going to be better. So basically the left side is done. It just needs a little bit more emery cloth, and then I'm going to put the graining into it. So that looks good. I haven't done anything on the top yet. Nothing at all. I've started now on the right side, and I've basically got the main flat section filed, and you can see where the file hasn't touched. Once again, we've talked about this in the past, where when they stamp that lettering, it pushes the metal in just a little bit, so you can see right where the file has not touched it, like in the U.S. Army in 1911. So I don't want to disturb any of that. I'll have to get into that with a stone, get into, as you can see, just the slightest bit of pitting, in around those letters. Not bad, but it wouldn't look so good in blue, so we want to get rid of them. And basically, most everything else is coming out. You can see there's a few little dings and dents. I've been working on trying to file those out. So, but we're getting close. Just wanted you to have a quick look at this side as I'm working along. I haven't done anything to those serrations yet. One of them, in fact, you can see we had a little bit of TIG weld added because it was a little bit too badly damaged for me to file out. And I started working on that back piece a little bit. You can see a few dings there on the edge that I haven't got to yet. So, but it's coming along. I just wanted to stop there before I had it completed. I wanted you to see it as we're going through the stages. So I'll go ahead and keep filing on this just a little bit longer, not too much, but a little bit. I just want to get a little bit more damage out of there. You can see those few little nicks in the metal, so I'm going to try and get those out of there if I can, without going too much deeper. So, but looks like we're going to save all the lettering on this slide. There's no P to worry about on the World War I slides. That rear alignment mark should survive okay. So we shouldn't get any welding done on the slide. That'll be, or lasering on the slide. So that'll be great. So I'll go ahead and keep moving, working my way on this right side. And I'll get those serrations done, and we'll see how she looks at that point. So, but it's proceeding towards the finish line. So we've been working on this right side, and we pretty much got that part done now. I went over it with a stone and a little bit of emery cloth. I just got a few little tiny little marks right at the front there that I'm not sure what I'll do with yet. I might even actually get a drop of TIG put in those. I'm not sure yet. They're a little bit deep. I don't want to take any more off, but everything else I'm happy with. We can we'll put our graining in there. I went in, around each letter and cleaned them up just a little bit to try and get rid of any pitting that was in there. So that's looking pretty good now, and the lettering is surviving very nicely, so that makes me happy. I hate ruining lettering. It just it bothers me, but you know, sometimes it's a byproduct of the repair. So I've started working on those serrations, just clean them up a little bit, so they're looking pretty good. I'm getting to that one now that I had welded. Let's get a better shot of that one. If you can see that weld, some pretty fine welding that they've done. So I got to get in there and oh, there it is, right there. So I'll get in there and talk to that a little bit. I'm just about up to that point, and I'll refile all those, the other little tiny bits of damage that are in those serrations. I'm not going to worry about. And I got in the back there and fixed the pitting there. I still got a little ding there on the side that I can see on that edge there, right there, but we'll take care of that. I got the bottom all squared up. I went in and cleaned up that bottom there, so it's got to have a nice sharp edge along the bottom. So it's coming along real good. I'm real happy. So I'll get those serrations finished, and we'll see what she looks like then. Alright, so we've got our serrations all done. This whole side is done now. So, but I just want to look at those serrations up close. Remember, I had some welding done on that, I forget which one it was, from the right side, the 4th or 5th or something. But they all came out nice. I'm happy with them, you know. It's hard to do these by hand and get them to look as perfect as a machine would do them, but you know, I'm pretty happy with how they turn out. And once it's blued, it's not even as noticeable, so it gives me a little bit of leeway there. Now, if there are any slight irregular differences in the height up at the top, I can correct that when I repair the top of the slide. As I go across the top of the slide with a file, I'll be able to even out some of those serrations. I mean, they're all pretty even, but if you know, if any do stick out a little higher than another one, I can repair that at that point. So anyway, like I say, they're kind of tricky, these serrations. So there, both sides done. I still got to put the graining in, and a couple, you know, minor dots there that I just got to consider what I'm going to do yet. Might weld them. I'll get all my filing done in case there's one or two more spots that have to go, you know, need a little additional welding. So that side's done, and like I said, that side's done as well. You know, it all looks good. No more pitting. Kept all the lines nice and straight, sharp. Everything looks good there. So, you know, those serrations once again look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them. So, and that back end piece. So anyway, so now I'm going to do the top, and I've got the back end to deal with and the front end to deal with. So, but we're on the home stretch. The hardest part is over now. The top isn't so bad. You don't have those serrations to deal with. So I'll go ahead and get that part done, and we're not too far away from being finished here. Alright, so here we got ourselves our 1918 slide, and got it all filed, and I even went over it with 100 grit just to get rid of the file marks. So the only thing left on this one now is the graining. And from pictures I've seen, I've been studying some pictures, really good book, Clausen's book on 45's got some really good detailed shots. I'm going to then have to grain it pretty much everywhere. I see that these 1918 pistols have a lot of rough, I consider it rough anyway, graining marks, machining marks, whatever. Well, not really machining, but graining. So I was able to save all the nomenclature quite nice. Everything came out pretty good. We got all the pitting out. That was our biggest concern. So get that all. Everything still looks nice and sharp. We didn't really lose anything. It's going to look fine blued. Nice when we can save the nomenclature. I hate filing it all away. But so basically, I'm happy. Everything is looking good. I got all the pitting gone. Everything's gone. So I think this is going to look good once she's all grained. All those serrations came out nice. They all look even, and even the ones with the filing, they come out really good. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get this grained and see what she's going to look like. Alright, so I've been working away on this frame, and I've got it all polished. I went over it with 100 grit. I got rid of all the file marks. There's no more file marks at all. So that's as far as I can take this frame, as far as I want to take this frame. You can see she looks good. Got all the machining marks out, got all the pits. Pits are gone. There's just nothing You know, no issues at all. Get in nice and close. You should be able to see. We had those welds done, those two spots done right in there. Right, right here somewhere. I had those Augusta Arsenal or whatever it was. Yeah, you can, in the right light, if I tip it, you can see the two little, see them there? But once I get this rehardened, it's been annealed, and now it gets rehardened. But you can see all the lines, you know, I accentuated everything, got everything nice and sharp again in here. All the pitting is gone. You know, went around the trigger guard and everything, detailed it all inside there. The bottom of the trigger guard, all up inside the frame there. They're normally quite rough in here. The machining is, they use 2 or 3 cutters to do all these different operations, and so sometimes you don't get a real good you know, meeting of cutters. They don't get them all lined up right, and so one comes in and leaves a bad mark. The other one just doesn't, you know, transition into that nice. So I get in and try and, you know, smooth it out a bit, make it look a little bit nicer. So I got this side of the trigger guard looking good there. No pitting, no anything. All the edges are sharp. So that's good. I'm happy with that. That's 100 grit. Now at this point, you can see that line's nice and sharp too. Underneath, the dust cover's all done. So everything. I squared up the face. That looks good. Nice and sharp. All those, all that radius in there, cleaned up around the mag catch. So now another thing too that I've been studying a lot of pictures on these 1918s, and going by the serial number range, and we can still see what's left of that serial number, that 281. Going by some pictures, quite a few very good detailed pictures that I have on these things, I've been able to see how they did the graining. Now I've only taken this to 100 grit, but it's going to be taken to something much rougher to get a graining into the metal. And what I've done here, after studying the photographs, if you look carefully, you can see that this part of the frame, from just below the mag catch, the graining runs up and down, and that's what I've done. I get in here close. Like in 100 grit, you can't see it as good as you will see it when I rough it up with something a little coarser, maybe 60 grit. But you can see the graining runs that way up to about the bottom of the mag catch, just below the bottom of the mag catch. You can see it there. Then the graining on the rest of the frame runs horizontally, and you can see that's what I've done. It's not as noticeable in 100 grit, like I said, but when I do it in something a little coarser, which I will, then it'll jump out at you. So I'm careful to duplicate the way they did it. Now, in here I haven't given it any graining yet either. The graining is going to run that way, all the way here, all the way down here, all the way down here, and all the way down here. It's all going to run this way. So it's going to be interesting to get that graining in there and get it to look right. But it's going to be, even with the heavy grain, it's going to be the same way. And you can see on this side of the frame too, from about there down, you can see basically where the transition is from where the scratches run one way and then they run the other way. So they run straight up and down on that part of the frame, and then they go horizontally on that part of the frame. You can see that right there. You can see the grain. And like I said, that's only 100 grit. So that's it. That's the next operation now. Is I'm taking it into the laser engravers, and we're going to get U.S. property or property U.S. government or whatever it said right here. And then on the other side, we're going to get that serial number freshened up. I'm going to go in and clean that up a bit. That's the only engraving. Oh no, excuse me. There's an inspector's mark is going to go. I'm not 100% sure. I think right about here somewhere. I have to double check my photographs, but somewhere in there. So inspector's mark, U.S. property, and serial number. So that's done. Like I say, that we'll get the laser engraving done. Then it comes back to me. I put all the heavy graining into it, and then it goes out and gets heat treated, hardened back up, and then it'll come back to me, and I'll clean it up one last time, and it'll go out and get blued. So it's come a long way. Like I say, it wasn't a horrible frame, but it just it had that fine pitting we had to do something with. So I just like the looks of that when they're all polished and look like a brand new piece. And of course, they feel. Like I say, I just love that. I feel you can almost shave on those edges. So all these lines are just nice and sharp again. So anyway, we're going to and of course the slide was already done. I already had the slide done a little bit earlier. So. And that's once again in the 100 grit as well. So it looks good. Everything's nice and straight. The slide's dead straight up on top and down the sides. And gonna make sure all the serrations look good. Gotta make sure everything's nice and squared up. I'm just going to throw this together real quick. There. That's a mighty fine looking 1918. Once again, it's almost a shame to blue it. I love them in this bare steel look. They just look so, I don't know, so tough. But there we go. So that looks good. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to get her laser engraved where we need it, and then I'll put the heavy graining in, and I'll keep you in the loop as I'm moving along. Good. So we got this major part of the operation done now. So it's looking real good. So stay tuned. Alright, we're back with our 1918 Colt. I took it in for laser engraving, if you remember correctly. It had a few spots that, because of the filing process, we had to lose. So we had that United States property burnt in there. And then over here we had the original inspector's cartouche recreated. Now they look a little heavy and thick right now because of the fuzz around the burn, but once I bead blast that and clean that up, it'll be just exact. Now we did the serial number as well. We cleaned that up, freshened that up a bit because it was getting pretty weak. So now it's nice and deep and looking good. And then one other thing I had done too was the rear alignment mark. I had that redone. And I even had a little drop of weld put in, TIG weld put in the very front. There was just one little pit there that I didn't like in the front of the slide. So that's done. So I just got to, metal finish that little spot. But now what I'm going to do, now what the operation is to put all the graining back in this gun, so that we'll be able to duplicate that 1918 look, and I'll send it out and get it heat treated. So we got the engraving done. That's nice. That's one more really important step out of the way. And like I say, my laser guy is really picky, and so we took the time, did all the proper measurements, and so this is good to go. This is just right on the money. So I'm real happy with that. So anyway, we'll get this wrapped up here shortly. So stay tuned. All right, we're back on our 1918 Colt, and as I said before, I checked the serial number range. I've got a really good reference book with tons of really good close-up shots of original, basically mint guns, or close to mint, but they're original, that's the key. And so I'm checking, because of this serial number, this has got the 281290. So there's good pictures of one just built previous to this and one just built after this, and they both have the same graining characteristics. So I'm going to take a chance and assume that this one would have been built the same way. So I studied and studied and studied the pictures up close, studied each picture as I worked on each area of the gun. So I'm real confident that I've got the graining going all the right directions in the right places. I've never done one of these with all that graining, so it's kind of interesting. And when you see how it goes in all the different directions, it's quite amazing. But there's a rhyme and a reason to it all, so I tried to follow what they did exactly. So on the sides, I'm getting close and we can get our buddy here. Now this is only, this is 40 grit. This is a 40 grit finish, so that's going to definitely show in the bluing. But you can see there on the side of the frame that it runs horizontal. So all the way across it runs horizontal. You can see that. So that graining is really nice and prominent. So that's going to really look good. Now the On the lower part of the frame, it runs vertically. You can see the same scratches, but they run vertically, and they run, get nice and close, they run up just until below that mag cache. And the vertical lines overlap the horizontal lines, so I basically have done the same thing. So I'm going vertically on the, and nothing is exact. When they did their polishing, it's anywhere in this range that these lines go from vertical to horizontal. So they came in and did this part afterwards because the vertical scratches overlap the horizontal scratches, so I can see what direction or what they did first. So like I say, so we've got the nice, beautiful graining on the side, as per original, and then it becomes vertical over there. So far that's looking real good. Then on the grip strap and the bottom of the trigger guard, and then on the dust cover, the scratches run from left to right. You can see that. They run from left to right. Right up, and the grain runs in that direction right to that line that was machined into that pistol. So that's all nice, and so the grain's running completely opposite way. See, from the side to the bottom, but that's how they are. And then all the way around that trigger guard. So that's looking good. And then around, like I say, the grip strap, right to the bottom and all the way around to the sides where it meets that vertical stuff. Now around in the where the mag catch is, they could only do it crossways so far, and then the trigger guard got in the way. So they couldn't get that little hump right there. They couldn't get that to run in the same direction as the rest of this and all this. Same on the other side. So they grained it, that little bit, which you can see, just that little half inch, quarter inch, whatever, 3/8 inch section, the graining runs that way, runs up and down, which it should. Then once we go inside the trigger guard, you can see the graining runs left to right again, runs all the way through, right around to that line, all the way around, runs all the way around till it hits that line, and once again, when they hit this part, they had to do it that way. Same with the inside of the trigger guard. I don't know if you can see that down in there. You can see how the graining runs left to right. Then on the side of the trigger guard, the graining goes that way, and then it radiates like the hands of a clock. It goes around and around until basically they're vertical. So I can get a good shot of that. You see if they're vertical right there at the beginning of the trigger guard. Right in there. There's my pointer. Right in here. So the scratches go basically up and down here, and they maintain that same idea until they become horizontal here. So they follow around just like the hands of a clock. They just went around with their belt sander, and they just went around like that. Now on the very front here, that little section, the graining goes this way, just for that little area, because once again, when they came through here and did the side-to-side graining, they couldn't come any further forward because they were hitting the trigger guard here. So then they went in and they did that way, which is exactly how I've done it. So you can see that it looks pretty good. That gives it a really unique, let me see if I can get a really good shot of that. Gives it a really unique, there you can see that. Gives it a very unique look. If I move that really slowly, you can see the graining on the side of the trigger guard all the way around over there. So it's interesting how they did it. Like I say, I've never done one like this, but I'm reasonably prepared now. Now if I had to do another one, you can see how those, it looks pretty interesting how that graining goes around that cut, that frame, around that upper part of the trigger opening. That's kind of interesting. And then your graining, once again, runs horizontal on the side, but vertical on on this lower part up until just below the mag catch hole. So in this area, which is exactly what I've done. On the back, on those horns, the scratches run back side to side. So that's what I've done there, duplicated that. And underneath, same thing, side to side, and it maintains that side to side all the way down that little edge. You can see that edge there. So that's exactly how the two that I have extensive pictures of, good, crisp, clear pictures. I can see that graining as plain as day. So I'm real confident that this is what it was when it was first built. I mean, I didn't see any evidence of this when it came in, but, you know, things been refinished how many times and blah, 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 so you can't talk to us. But now you get to see that nice inspector's stamp now that it's been bead blasted and cleaned up. They say when you get it back from the laser engravers, the things look a little bit big and sloppy because of the burn, but once you get them bead blasted, you can see how nice that looks, and it's nice and deep. So I'm real happy. I'm 100%. Even that front face, I gave some machining too, some machining looks and graining. Even on the bottom, I gave it graining. So it's about as close as anyone can get that. Now let's just have a quick look at the slide. The slide has got its own unique graining as well. Underneath there, you remember how pitted that was underneath there, so that's all been cleaned up. Obviously all the areas have been cleaned up. And now the graining runs forwards and backwards underneath, as it should. And then it's horizontal, totally horizontal on the sides. So we can get a good shot of that. There you go. So it's a real heavy graining. Like I say, I used a 40 grit. That's pretty that's pretty extreme. I didn't think it would be that rough, but I tried 80 grit and compared it to the pictures I had, and you could just plainly see it wasn't even close. And I tried 60, and it looked not bad, but it still wasn't as pronounced, so I went to 40, and that should do it. So you can see I got the graining running side to side back there, which is exactly how they did it. And on the top it runs, you know, from that line right all the way over to that line, all the way down. It runs side to side across the whole top of the slide. Now I'm still got to install the front sight. Well, there's still a couple operations have to be done yet to this frame slide. Sorry. So I put some graining, you know, in the front of that, nice heavy graining. So that's going to be quite noticeable. And you know, underneath there, that's all been done. So I'm happy. There's those slide serrations cleaned up. So now what we got to do is we need to take this frame and slide, and we need to take it to the heat treaters, and we need to get it all hardened back up. Remember, we had it annealed so I could work on it and file it and get the graining in it and everything. But now it's going in to be hardened back up. Now these aren't very hard. I'm only going to get this hardened up to around a 30 Rockwell. That's not a whole lot, but still, it's what it was. So we're going to put it back to the way it was. So there she is, all assembled. And you can see it's kind of unique when you see, like, especially there. You got the graining running forwards and backwards. If I can get a good shot of that. You got the graining running forwards and backwards, you know, on the slide part. I don't know if my camera's cooperating here. Let me see if I can get it to wake up a little bit. We'll get a good look at that graining. So you got to appreciate it. But I can't. There we go. Okay, now if I take it really nice and easy. Okay, now. So like I was trying to say before I was so rudely interrupted, you can see the graining, how interesting that is. The graining on the slide runs forwards and backwards, yet the graining on the frame runs side to side. But that's exactly how they are in my reference book. So like I say, I'm real happy. I'm real confident that that's how she should look. I'm real happy with that. The graining runs straight across at the back, both on the horns and on the slide. It runs, you know, horizontal all the way down the sides. But then on the bottom, that's when things really start getting interesting. That's pretty neat how that graining goes. I like that. So anyway, that's my first one, my first 1918 that I've had to duplicate that kind of finish in the metal, and it turned out quite good. I'm happy with it. So now it goes in to be hardened, comes back, I clean it up, I regrain it just a little bit, and then I'll put the front and rear sight on, and it goes in to be blued. So we're getting dangerously close on this one. All the small parts, everything are done. So this one should be wrapped up here pretty soon. The grips are done, everything else is finished. So we're going to try and get this thing finished in the next few days, week, something like that. But anyway, stay tuned.